Hi everybody, I am Steve London. I'm a film and television composer, and I wrote the music for Star Renegades by Massive Damage. One that appears the most throughout the entire score is a little theme that I wrote to hearken to the idea of the call going out for rebels to fight against the Imperium. And the theme is heard throughout most of the tracks on the score, main title, a lot of the combat themes, and the idea was this sort of radio broadcast that went out through time and space that called the rebels to come and fight. So this is the sound of that little broadcast theme. So that is in Valkyrie's Vengeance, for example. But it's in the main theme, like I said. It's in quite a few pieces. It goes faster, it's slower, it's everywhere. It's a synthwave score, so we needed synths. Part of the main sound of Star Renegades is my trusty Juno 106 synthesizer from the 80s. It was used for quite a lot of the bass sounds and some of the pad sounds. Unfortunately, it's in the shop because it's from the 80s and needs a lot of love. But another one that I used is a cool little synth called the Meblip Anode, made in Calgary, Alberta, I believe. It's a 2-oscillator bass synth mainly is what it's used for. You can adjust basic parameters like your filters and your attacks and decay and your rate and your depth of your LFO, that type of thing. But it comes up with some really, really fat, awesome sounding bass sounds. So there's some of that. The rest of the sounds were generally from Arturia, the soft synth plugin package that makes great stuff. The old CS80 Yamaha, for example, is one of their great sounds. One of the iconic sounds of Blade Runner, for example. Some of the there's an Oberheim. There's my goodness, the Prophet, an R2600. Things like that. So we used a lot of those sounds to come up with the soundscape for the Star Renegades score. And because it was synthwave, and synthwave is inherently a little softer because it's analog, it's big and fat, but it doesn't have an edge. I used a lot of distortion, sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle. Especially the bass and lower mid-range sounds to give it some real oomph and cut through, because the rebels are in a battle for their lives, and we want the feel of edge and a little bit of danger as you're listening to the score for the game and playing the game. And then on top of that, I did a little bit of live percussion that was kind of cut up in different spots and processed. Just some hand drums. I used a tin can. And the rhythm kits were from Battery, Native Instruments Battery, and Isotope's Beat Tweaker. So that was all put together in Cubase, and with all the various plugins and such, and away you go. There's the music of Star Renegades. The piece Song of Aya on the soundtrack, which was the Gamescom release trailer. It's a little different than most of the score for Star Renegades. It's more of a hybrid, It is a mix of orchestral and synthwave, and it went with the story of the trailer of the characters as they progressed, and found all the terrible horrors that were awaiting them. So we decided that we really wanted to try and tug on the heartstrings of the audience and show this plight in a different way. So I suggested we use a vocalist, and so my dear friend Adeline, who has done many things. She can be heard on the radio, on Spotify, and she's known right now for having a pivotal scene in the sci-fi television show Winona Earp with her song Ghost. I called her and I said, listen, I would love to use your haunting vocals for this trailer. I think it's really going to bring out the human element. So when you hear that track, that's her voice that's in there. And thank you so much for lending your fabulous talents, Adeline. Always appreciated. The track, Yes, You Can Pet the Dog. I think it's pretty obvious that it's a definite tip of the hat to John Williams' Cantina song from Star Wars. I tried to make it as colorful and interesting as John Williams' original Cantina song, and we used all kinds of different synths in there, sometimes with good tuning, sometimes with not, to make it a little more fun. And the little steel drum riff in there is actually from some hand drums recorded, and I processed the heck out of them and made them all space Cantina drums. So there you go. There's a few little secrets from the Star Renegades score.